Tonight, we're just going to be looking at how to create a website, and there's several steps to that. The first step to creating a website is obtaining a domain name and following that somewhere to actually put the stuff. So let me just share my screen and I'll talk you through it. So, okay, so you should now all be able to see my screen. I've got everybody muted so that people don't all keep jumping in and shouting, yes, I've got it, yes, I've got it. Jackie, I can see you on screen, so could you wave to me, please? Thank you very much, Jackie. So if I need to know if something's happening, I'll just ask you and you could give me a wave. That would be most helpful. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you via the site that I use. I'm not saying that everyone should use this site, but it's pretty much standard and it's reasonably priced. So I use a website hosting company called UK Cheapest, and I can't spell UK Cheapest, but don't worry about it. It always crops up and changes it for me. So there are other companies like GoDaddy out there that do exactly the same as this. When you get to a website, there's normally something that says domain names and has the ability to let you search for a domain. So we're going to search for a domain name. Okay, now you can see this is all the stuff that I've been looking at previously, and I have searched for and obtained Glasgow Speakers Club .org.uk. But if you were looking for one for, let's say, Somerset Speakers Club, you would simply type Somerset Speakers Club. And traditionally, if you're a club, you don't use the .co suffix or the .com suffix, you use the .org suffix. And because we're in the UK, we use .org.uk. That's the correct way to do it. Again, if you fancy being .co.uk or .com, there's nothing physically to stop you doing that. But as an organisation, that .org shows that we're a not-for-profit. We're not somebody that's out there to make money or anything like that. The .org.uk signifies that we're an organisation. So we hit the search button. And it comes up and says, congratulations, that is available, as it would be because there's no Somerset Speakers Club. So that domain is available. You then add that to your cart to buy it. And then when you're ready to buy, you could go to the checkout. But that would be that we could obtain Somerset Speakers Club.org.uk. However, it's no good on its own. It needs to have somewhere to put it, a bucket to keep all your files in, if you like, and that's web hosting. So you then have to buy web hosting. They've got various packages, and for your average Speakers Club, we're going to choose the cheapest one because we don't need any bells and whistles. So the cheapest one here, as you can see, it's for home or hobby, and I think the club fits into that. You could have 3 websites if you wanted, but one's sufficient. Lots of storage. There's no limit to the number of people that can visit your website and things like that. Databases, if we're going to use WordPress, which we will, you need to have at least one database. So if you do go to a different provider, you need to make sure that they give you, with your hosting, at least one MySQL database. That's really important. 50 mailboxes, that's 50 email addresses that you can have, and I think that's going to be sufficient for any club. The server location, they're all in the UK. because we're buying the cheap one, we don't get a free certificate or a domain, but we don't need it. And the rest of the stuff down here is pretty much immaterial. This is all about the stuff that makes it work in the background, but you'll see WordPress is mentioned there as being available. So we would then order the hosting, and you would use the domain already in the shopping cart. Click to continue, and you can choose how often you want to pay. If you pay a one-off fee of £22.25 with this one, there's no setup fee. So if you pay £1.99 a month, then effectively you're paying £24 for the year plus £10 setup fee. So it's costing you about £35. And likewise, paying quarterly or semi-annually, you still pay somewhat more. So I would tend to choose the annual rate, and it's also the easiest way to put it into the club's budget. And I'm sure most clubs can afford £22.25 for a fully hosted website. It's not going to break the bank. People have talked about other websites or other website builders like Squarespace and Wix, and GoDaddy has a website builder, and this company has a website builder. But you'll see they charge a lot extra for that. So that would be another £25. And there's a lot of limitations with website builders with things like Wix and Squarespace. You have to take what they've got on offer, which is why I would always recommend that you go with just a simple provider that lets you use WordPress, because it's really straightforward. You know what you're getting and you've got lots of control, but you do need a little bit of skill in WordPress, but not that much. So we've got everything we want. We've got a domain name and we've got our hosting. It's going to cost us £22.25 plus VAT, so it actually comes to £26.70. Just making sure that I haven't bought anything else. Be very careful when you're buying a website. They do sometimes try and slip extras in on you, so make sure you've got just what you want. So add that to the cart and go to the checkout. It confirms that's the domain name you're buying, that's the hosting cost, and the registrant's name, you do need to put someone in there as the official registrant, and that would normally be the club secretary or the club treasurer. It's not really important who that is, but it does need a name. And you can see I'm just putting a fake one in here because we're not going to actually buy it. And when we get here, you can see that it's got all the components that we need: the budget hosting and the domain registration. Sorry, I should have noticed that earlier. And it's got the total value, so it's actually £33 odd when VAT is added on. So I could now go to checkout, and that would be it purchased. So once we've done that step, which I will now stop sharing my screen momentarily. No, I won't. I'll close that first, just in case. Okay. Once we've done that, there's a back-end process that goes on at the ISP, and they will send you an email. Once we'd gone through the payment details, it would have asked for our email addresses and things like that. They will send an email, and you will receive, oops, back here, I'll just share my screen again. You'll receive an email that looks like that. Excuse me, I'm just moving you all over to the left-hand side of the screen. Here, it gives you the details of what you've paid for. Okay. And it gives you login details to a thing called Pless. Again, it's just a name, nothing special. And it gives you a username and a password. The password you'll see is very complicated. Okay, it's very complicated, and that's to make sure it's nice and secure. So once you've got this, you can go to what they call the hosting panel, which is where you do the final setup, or the initial setup, I should say. And you'll see I've got the username in here. The password is pre-programmed because I've told it to remember it, just in the off chance that it gets forgotten and it's quite complicated. And we can log in to what looks like an extremely complicated screen. So you can see down here on this panel, there's a bit that says email addresses. Okay, is that shared through to that screen, Jackie, where it says mail of Glasgow Speakers Club? Yeah, that's great. And you can just create an email address. I created one earlier because I might need one when I'm doing the website. And it's as simple as saying, create email address with a plus sign there. And again, it looks like some really complicated stuff going on here. But all I really need to do is say that I want an email for secretary at Glasgow Speakers Club. Put a password, and it needs to be a strong password. And you'll see it's saying it's quite weak at the moment as I'm typing it in. And now it's very strong because of what I've typed in there. And this is going to be a live one, so I'll not tell you what the password is, because I've forgotten it. But it's a mixture of capital letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and punctuation symbols to make that a very strong password. And that makes it really difficult to hack. And you don't need to worry about the rest of this. That's the only two things that you need to do. Type in the address and the password and then confirm the password. That's better. And you can see we now have two email addresses down here. In the email I showed you earlier, so bear with me, I'm just going to stop sharing this screen. I'll come back to it in a moment and share a different screen. Further down the email, it shows you there's a link to a tutorial of how to set up email clients. So this is how to set up Outlook, or how to set up, I can't even remember the names of others, but any other well-known email clients. But you also get a webmail link. So you can take this link here. Fine. So I've copied that email web link, and I'm just going to paste it into the address. It takes you to this, and you put in the username. So with secretary at Glasgow Speakers Club.org.uk, and
you've spelt it wrong, James.
Yeah, I'll come back up to it. Thank you very much indeed, Jackie. Yep. I didn't spell it wrong, by the way. I typed it wrong. My spelling's really good. My typing's rubbish. and that logs you into the email, and you can have an address like that for every officer of the club, and they can then access this from anywhere. So you can get multiple emails for multiple club members. So I'll just close that off now, and I say we could have more and more and more email addresses if we wished. So that's a bonus, if you like, when you're setting up your website, but that's how you get addresses that are specific to the club, and you can have names like secretary, president, and these can be handed down when that role changes. And we've got up to 50 email addresses, so really there shouldn't be any problems with it. All right, so back to websites and domains where we were, and wait a second. That's it. This has actually changed since I last looked at it, which is one of the things that it does. But you'll see over here on the right, it's got WordPress. The first time you go there, it says no items found. And I'll just install it, and I'll do install custom. Okay, and that will let me set up glasgowspeakersclub.org.uk. And then it wants an administrative username in there. And let's see, I'm going to make it GSCWM, which is the Glasgow Speakers Club Webmaster. Don't use something like Webmaster or Manager or Web Manager. These are things that people will find very, very easily. And I'm going to create a password. Again, we're looking for a strong password here. So let's see if it lets me do this. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's going to let me away with that. So, okay, and change that to English UK, otherwise the spell checker is liable to go in the wrong name. Right. Now, I think that is all I need to do. It really does bully you about the passwords. They have to be strong, so yes, they do. Yeah, it just left the message from the last time. So that's it installing. And at this point in the video, something went wrong with the installation and I had to stop the webinar. So I've edited all that stuff out, and there'll be a a rerun of the second part where we look at actually creating the website with some content. So see you in part 2.